to talk about. We need to be done by 10:30.
I think I'm cute. I know I'm sexy. I've got the looks that drives the girls wild. I've got the moves that really move them. I send chills up and down their spines. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. I make them hot. I make them shiver. Their knees get weak. Whenever I'm around, they see me walk. They hear me talk. I make them feel like they're on cloud nine. I'm just a sexy boy. Oh, I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy toy. Ain't your heart out, girl? Hands off the merchandise. I'm just a sexy boy. Oh, I'm not your boy toy. I'm just a sexy boy. I'm not your boy I am a real American. Fight for the rights of every man. I am a real American. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life. When it comes crashing down and it hurts inside, you gotta take a stand, it don't hurt to hide. If you hurt my friends, then you hurt my
Good Wednesday morning to everybody out there in podcast land, wherever you get your podcast, whether you're watching us live currently on Facebook, YouTube, or Twitter, or if you check us out later on your favorite podcasting platforms. A blanket good morning to everybody, or good afternoon, good evening, whenever you might be listening to this. This is the Going Broadway podcast. Alex and Cole are with you this morning. Cole, what's happening?
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the greatest wrestling podcast ever. We have just about everything under the sun to talk about this morning for us, you know, whatever it is for you. And not a lot of time to talk about it. So
yeah, we're actually on a time crunch today, and literally right before we went live, if you guys have watched us or listened to us before, you know that I wear multiple hats around here as far as this the company I work for, and so I actually have to go tend to something for like 2 minutes. Literally, you can put me on a time clock if you want. I might go for 2 minutes, but what are you going to do? But here's what we can do. First off, we got to have the bell. Why don't you talk with everybody about if you're in mourning as far as the Cena Reigns match?
All right.
Cole will talk to you guys for a minute or two. I'll be right back, and that was kind of our soft start to the podcast, but we'll have our hard start when I return.
All right. Well, again, good morning, everybody. For those of you who may be a first-time listener or joining us and do not know, I am, as you can see behind me, I am a huge John Cena fan. That is like my Hulk Hogan, if you will. That's just who I grew up watching. So we did our predictions for SummerSlam before the last Friday night SmackDown. And after I watched Friday Night SmackDown, after I had predicted, Alex as well predicted John Cena as winning, they made the whole stipulation that if Roman lost, he'd be leaving WWE. And I just didn't see that happening. So I kind of had already had my hopes kind of shot down on Friday to the point that I was like, okay, it's probably not going to happen. After watching the match, and we'll talk about SummerSlam recap and all that stuff a little bit later. After watching the match, I definitely was disappointed with the outcome. I thought that it still was the right decision to go ahead and give him the belt one last time. I'm telling you what, I'm going to get that shirt. What that John Cena Super Mario 16 champion, whatever, I'm getting that shirt. All right. So I did this is where I got a little frustrated. I did not care for the Brock Lesnar coming out and suplexing and going after John Cena. I didn't think it made sense. I didn't think it was helpful. I didn't think it was the right call. Kind of tuning Alex back into what I'm talking about. Again, I was telling them we kind of made our predictions last Wednesday, and then SmackDown hit on Friday, and they made the stipulation with Roman. If he lost, he was leaving WWE. So we both were kind of like, well, now it doesn't really seem like it's going to make sense for Cena to win. And so I think I had my hopes kind of shot down on Friday.
I don't understand why they did that.
It kind of just made me know from the jump that he wasn't going to win. After watching the match, I explained I still think he should have won. But the problem that I have the most with the whole story is that afterwards you have Brock come out and you have Brock suplex and destroy John Cena. Like, I don't think it made any sense to do that. And you know, if you're gonna have Brock suplex or hurt anybody, it should have been one of the Usos. They could have came out and attacked him. It could have been Roman himself, just to kind of show, hey, he really is a competitor. The biggest problem I have, and this is what we can talk about since we're gonna kind of give more brief overviews on our recaps today. I did not care for John Cena losing and then bringing in another part-time superstar to be the next contender for Roman. Like, it bothers me that you won't capitalize on John Cena being champion. It kind of looks like it makes sense now too as well, because John Cena basically came out and said, I won't be back for a while because I have all these other movies to do.
So I have a theory, and this literally just came to my mind as I was walking out the door, and I don't know why I didn't think about it until just now. could this been an audible that WWE pulled within maybe the last, I don't know, X amount of time, whether it was days or a week or whatever? Could they have maybe had plans to have Cena win, but then they got Brock to essentially confirm that he was going to return? Or do you think this was just the plan all along? My red flag, for lack of a better way of wording it, was why would you have that stipulation thrown out the week,
2 days, a day
before SummerSlam, that Roman is going to leave WWE if he loses the title match? And I don't know. I get that there's not a real way to make that connection as far as adding that stipulation the day before, throwing in Brock's return, which, again, we're going to get to these returns here in a little bit. To me, it just seems really, maybe not odd booking. I mean, I get the whole, they kind of teased this whole Summer of Cena kind of thing that made it seem as if he was going to be around a while. And now the only date that he has confirmed, or that's confirmed with him in WWE, is that Madison Square Garden show in September. But then besides that, everything I'm reading says that he just out of nowhere, it's like, well, I've got all these movie commitments now, and I'm not going to be able to, I'm not going to be able to be part of SmackDown or house shows or whatever. It just seems really odd that this is just kind of like out of nowhere when it was almost the exact opposite a week or two ago. And it just kind of makes me wonder, did they just flip on a dime? Because within that last week or two, they got Brock Lesnar back on board, but as a stipulation that he was going to return, that he was going to be thrown in right into the title picture. I don't know. It's not even a rumor. I'm not trying to start a rumor. I'm just thinking out loud here.
I think for me is, I think if everyone would have known he had all these movie commitments, we would have automatically known he was taking the L at SummerSlam. I think he knew all along he had these commitments, and he had to sell it like, hey, I'm actually back. Summer of Cena, like, I'm back. I'm ready to do this, yada, yada, yada. And it worked, because there was a lot of us that believed that maybe he really could win this match.
And the whole Summer of Cena could also be tied into all those house shows that he did as well. So
right.
I don't know. Again, not trying to start any rumors, just purely thinking out loud, just speculating. That's what we do here. We talk, we give our thoughts, and just a thought as I was walking out the door, so I returned and thought I would share.
And this is where I'm kind of, again, back to the whole, I think Brock was already on board. I think they knew, especially once they had gotten word of CM Punk's return, I think they knew. Let's just look at it from the standpoint of, they cleared a lot of room in the past couple months, more specifically the past month and a half, and Brock was not signed. So obviously they've struck some kind of deal with him. They got him to come back, whatever the case may be. I think long term, the idea is to get him the belt before Survivor Series.
Lesnar.
To do Lesnar versus Lashley at Survivor Series. To give them that whole, champion versus champion, but no one has to lose anything opportunity. It would also get the belt off of Roman. Again, you got to have a viable contender in a sense. And if you wanted to really, make some moves at Survivor Series at that point, that's when you could have Big E cash in on whoever loses that match. They got so destroyed. I would assume Bobby Lashley is going to probably lose that match. He gets destroyed. Big E comes in, yada, yada, yada. By that point in time, we should have had the Superstar Shakeup too, so Big E could already have been moved to Raw, and there's not even that whole discussion of, what happens if, he's on SmackDown but goes after a Raw title. So I could see them doing that for sure. I also think that Brock coming back obviously is making him a face.
Oh, 100%. I mean, he was high-fiving.
The beard, the hair is different. He doesn't have Paul Heyman, so it's going to be more of just destroying people that fans want him to destroy and not talking as much. So I think that's kind of where it's all headed. So if that's what they wanted to do, that's cool, because you you and I both would agree that I think I would have rather Brock come out during the Bobby Lashley segment after he destroyed Goldberg and, set up that feud. And now I'm thinking long term, okay, we're only what? I'm sure you just looked it up. When's Survivor Series?
Well, it's in November, so that's going to be 3 months out.
So we have Crown Jewel in September.
October.
Or October. We have Extreme Rules in September. Is there another pay-per-view in October, though, or is it only going to be Crown Jewel? Because sometimes they do, too, when it's the Saudi show.
I will take a look real quick. To be honest, though, I mean, just because there might not be one announced doesn't mean there won't be one. I mean, WWE is...
I could see they're doing their next NXT TakeOver, though, that month.
Yeah. Extreme Rules, September 26th. Crown Jewel, October 21st. Survivor Series, November 21st.
Gotcha. Okay, so as of right now, we only have 2 pay-per-views in between there, and Crown Jewel's not going to take everybody over there to begin with.
I wouldn't be surprised if we don't get any kind of... Well, I'll take that back.
I think Lashley will go and defend his. I don't see either Roman or Brock going over there.
So that was what I was thinking, but then you have the added element of, okay, if it's not going to happen on Crown Jewel, then it has to happen on Extreme Rules or just a normal episode of SmackDown. Or better yet, whatever this Madison Square Garden show is in September.
I think it's going to happen at Extreme Rules. I think they're going to they're going to do some kind of stipulation too, where it's like no holds barred, whatever, and they're going to destroy each other because they've fought so many times. What can they do that we haven't already seen? So I think it's going to be a lot of brutality type stuff going on.
So real quick, that Madison Square Garden show is actually a SmackDown. For some reason, I thought it was just a house show, but yeah, that's actually a September 10th Super SmackDown is what they're billing it as.
Could happen. I doubt it, but could. And so that's what I'm thinking. I'm thinking, again, you got to have someone that can be a contender to beat Roman. If it wasn't going to be Cena, it's going to have to be Brock. I just don't see, unless you're going to do Big E cashing in after Roman's been like destroyed or something, I just don't see anybody that you've built up enough to be the guy that beats Roman at this point. So that's what makes sense to me. Am I upset? Yeah, I'm upset. Mainly because it was billed in such a way that I really thought Cena could have and should have won. Even if it was a short title reign, I think it would have made sense. We'll talk about it in a little bit. There was a lot about SummerSlam that didn't make sense.
Oh, my gosh.
So,
we'll get there.
We could have literally had Cena win it and drop it at the Madison Square Garden. He could have been off TV for 2 to 3 weeks and just done some promos, vignettes or whatever, filled them ahead of time, done a continued storyline with Roman, and then you could have had Brock Lesnar come out, maybe even cost the match for Cena, and then, attack Roman.
I want to address Thomas's comment real quick, and then, excuse me, and then we can move forward. So Thomas says, seems like it was just a movie push for Cena. Didn't really make sense for him to even wrestle. They didn't even really promote his movies while he was on TV, did they?
He made little comments in his promos about like Suicide Squad
but they didn't do like full on like segments where they would mention the movie, or I didn't even see advertisements for the movies during SmackDown.
Just commercials that were already going to get aired because it's a big name movie. It wasn't like it was Cena's making this movie happen like The Marine or other movies he's done. The Suicide Squad was going to be big either way, and so Cena just kind of put his little mini plugs into his promo like he always would. But yeah, and he's got to go film like a TV show now, is what I think it really is. That Peacemaker thing is a TV show, I think.
Yeah, and Jeremy makes a good point. Do you think the Saudi show even happens with travel restrictions? Who knows?
Yeah, it does.
Let's move on. The only thing I'm going to mention about Raw is we need to start I want you guys to start a hashtag and make this thing go viral. You should hashtag I watch Raw because, and then tell us why. So hop on our Facebook, hop on our Twitter preferably, because that's where it seems like stuff goes viral the most or easiest or most frequent or whatever. Jump on Twitter, hashtag I watch Raw because, and then give us your reason. Or you can just say, if you don't watch it, hashtag I watch Raw because ... Oh, wait, I don't. The most entertaining part of Raw was Orton getting a scooter or whatever that interaction was. The rest of it, I didn't watch all of it. I've just seen bits and pieces, but from what I saw, it didn't seem like it was any better than normal. But everyone that I've seen on social media said it was okay, or it was better than normal or above average or whatever. All that to say, did you watch Raw?
I did. And I would say that there was probably like 3 segments that I was kind of on board with, I guess. And one that really irks me, really irks me. I'm actually really intrigued with this whole Bobby Lashley Sheamus thing, because they're both heels, and they kind of did the whole Damian Priest Drew McIntyre tag match versus Bobby Lashley and Sheamus, and Bobby Lashley walked at him. Now it's Bobby versus Sheamus next week on Raw, and I was kind of like, interesting. Heel versus heel. Sheamus out of nowhere because he dropped the U.S. belt. I was like, that's interesting. It also, I'm getting vibes that maybe we're going to get Drew versus Damian Priest for the United States title. I'm getting this vibe. They cut a promo where they were kind of buddy-buddy and they were going to go party and yada, yada, yada. But Drew can't challenge for the WWE title as long as Bobby Lashley's holding it. So I'm like, well, what do you do with him? The gender thing seems to be over in my opinion.
That was I almost seemed like it was a one and done kind of match.
I'm kind of intrigued, especially because it might be time to flip Drew back to heel.
And I would be okay with that.
And you could have him turn on Damian and be, I don't know. I'm just saying. So there was that. I thought that was intriguing. The Riddle RK Bro segment was okay. I'm cool with it. They're still continuing with this AJ Styles almost thing, though.
Which that's what shocked me. I thought they would.
Are we going to see a rematch at Extreme Rules and then move on from this? Because I'm like, I'm done with it. I'm already over it. You got the belts off him. Move AJ on. Mm-hmm. And saw some rumors about him.
Which that kind of, you just mentioned the whole Sheamus and Lashley thing kind of ties into an idea that I had. Maybe they're going to turn Lashley face, have him be this cool, edgy face, and then have him go up against a heel Styles.
Could be. I actually read a rumor that AJ's been wanting to go to NXT for a short stint, and I think
he should have done that a year ago.
And now that Samoa Joe is champion, I think that they might actually capitalize on that during the draft.
Spoiler if you didn't watch TakeOver.
Sorry.
That's we're gonna recap it anyway later in the show, so it doesn't matter.
I honestly think we're gonna see AJ possibly get traded to NXT during the draft or get picked up during the draft.
You think he'll just make the jump altogether?
I think NXT will grab him.
See, I thought it was going to be maybe a match with him and Joe, or him and someone with NXT, like in Survivor Series, or like a triple threat kind of thing.
Could be. He actually came out and said, I want to do an NXT stint, like a small one. Maybe the size of what Finn Balor did.
Yeah.
5-6 months, whatever. But go down there, because he never got to. And that's one thing he would like to kind of check off his bucket list of things that he's done in WWE. So,
right.
Could happen. Joe kind of talked about it here recently. And, could possibly happen. So, regardless, I thought they'd move on from that. The thing that irked me the most, what is this getup that Karrion Kross is wearing? The dude came out with a helmet on, and he's wearing straps around himself now, and I hate it. I absolutely way to take a guy who did not need a gimmick change. He did not need a costume change. He literally is exactly what Vince McMahon would want in size and stature and promo ability and in-ring moveset, dominant. And you put a strap on him and a helmet, and he comes out looking like a medieval knight. I don't know what this is, but it needs to stop. Now. It looked terrible. He wore it during the match. I thought maybe it was just in-ring get-up and I could kind of move past it. He wore it in the match. Sorry, Belle.
Our soundboard's very touchy.
He wore it in the match, and I was just like, okay, you guys were literally having a decent Raw for once, and then I see this, and I'm like, nope, I can't. Ricochet lost. I was already upset. But then you have him wearing this getup. I just couldn't. And then I felt like Raw ended in a weird way because I'm pretty sure it ended with the Riddle AJ Styles match or whatever I think it was.
I don't know how it ended. I literally just watched like segments here and there.
It didn't feel like a main event. We did see the Miz turn on John Morrison. I thought that was intriguing because we kind of thought they were going to do a program with the New Day, and then they turned on each other. So maybe we'll get a face John Morrison push here soon. That's the hope. So
let's segue real quick. Did you watch NXT last night?
Yes.
Mixed feelings. So same thing. I didn't get to watch all of it. It does seem like, which this kind of lines up with rumors that I've read, that the big heels now on NXT are going to be Roderick Strong, Pete Dunne, and Johnny Gargano, with the exit of Karrion Kross and seemingly Adam Cole, which we haven't even talked about that. So, I mean, we'll probably maybe touch on that here and there throughout the show, but I'll be honest, I didn't even really factor that in because depending on who you read or listen to, he's completely done with WWE and not re-signed. Other sources say that his contract is technically up as of this Friday. That being said, we're not going to see him on Dynamite this upcoming Wednesday. Definitely wouldn't see him on Rampage just because Rampage I know is being taped, so this week's Rampage isn't even going to be live. But mixed feelings on the whole, just completely, seemingly writing off Ted DiBiase and the $1 Million Belt out of the storyline with Cameron Grimes. I thought that they would kind of keep that going. I mean, whether LA Knight is involved or not, it just seemed really abrupt. Just an abrupt exit from the storyline altogether. So, not sure how I feel about that. Aside from that, I didn't really have a ton of input on the rest of the card. It just seemed like a very safe NXT, which I get that. I understand we'll have to get those every so often. I mean, not every single Tuesday night of NXT is going to be must-watch 4 or 5 star match quality, especially coming off a takeover. I mean, that's just the way it is. But what do you think of the rest of NXT?
The segment with Joe was intriguing just because I was wondering who they were going to kind of pick as his next challengers and whatnot. So I'm thinking we're looking probably more Pete Dunne at this point in time because they didn't have Roderick Strong come out. I like the idea of LA Knight though. I like the idea of LA Knight, but the problem is I would probably want him to win.
You'd want LA Knight to win.
Eventually, yeah. I don't think he needs a North American title run at this point. I think he needs to go straight to the main title picture, but I don't think I want to see him go after Joe right away. I don't think Joe's going to be champion for a long stint. And here's the thing with NXT that I'm trying to keep in the back of my mind. I don't know if I even think NXT is going to be in the draft at this point now because of the fact of what we know of Vince McMahon wanting to kind of turn it back to more developmental and
just so stupid.
Building their own stars again. Like, yeah, you got to have some star talent power on there though for them to be built. So I don't know where that leaves people as far as are we going to have a draft and bring down 1 or 2 guys and move and elevate some guys then? I don't think I don't know. Like I'm kind of stuck there. And so now I'm even looking at it from the standpoint of storylines like LA Knight would be the perfect guy to put the belt on next if you're wanting to kind of go back to we're trying to elevate people and build their own talents. Yes, LA Knight has a past that's already got him over in a sense, but I think he would be the next kind of big heel to give that kind of push to. So I was intrigued by that. Pete Dunne's always kind of intriguing. The Kyle O'Reilly thing, obviously I knew was going to come out, but kind of looks like they're going to have him feud with some of these up-and-coming talents as well. I'll tell you the 2 things that shocked me. The Odyssey Jones getting pinned by Carmelo Hayes.
I thought for sure Odyssey was going to win.
I just thought it made sense, honestly. But maybe it's because they think Odyssey Jones would be too much of a good look against like a Samoa Joe, or even a Isaiah Swerve Scott if he decides to go North American title.
I think that he also has more of a. I think people know him more versus Odyssey Jones just because he was like Christian Casanova or something on the Indies. So maybe that's it, just because of the more recognizable of the two factor. I don't really know, but yeah, I agree. I think they made the wrong call.
His size alone would allow him to get over without needing the breakout tournament like winner category. But Carmelo Hayes getting it, I was just kind of shocked. I was like, oh wow. So I'm interested to see what they do there. And then I was thinking about it. We kind of talked about this. It kind of looks like they're taking Legado del Fantasma and kind of trying to make them face.
Mm-hmm.
I think I would have done it the other way around.
You would have done Hit Row.
I think I would have made Hit Row the faces, and I think I would have made Legado del Fantasma the heels. And the reason why is the rap thing could get over, the gimmick could get over more if fans were cheering it, but it almost is boring and uninterested because rap is something that you want people to kind of be like bobbing your heads to and behind, not like, boo, you suck. And it kind of gives me like this vibe, like the John Cena vibe. When even when he was playing heel and he was rapping, he would get cheers from the fact that he was rapping.
And they should have done the face turn for Hit Row weeks ago. Hit Row like started off. Hit Row is kind of like the exact opposite of how I react to most new things in pro wrestling, whether it's a new gimmick, a new feud, whatever. I try not to be too reactionary, even if I hate it at first, because it's a small sample size. Hit Row, I was the exact opposite. I was just like, this is cool. I'm on board with it. And as this small sample size became larger, I became more disinterested with it.
Right. They haven't done a lot with it, though. And that's the problem is that you look at the group, and it's actually a decent-looking group. Especially if we're going to talk about developing other people. Isaiah Swerve Scott's the face of it. That Ty Dalla, whatever, he's huge. Dude's a big dude.
Which, by the way, I didn't even make the connection until like maybe a month ago that's also the guy that does the Hidden Treasure show on A&E.
Yep. He literally was holding 3 dudes in his arms last night. I'm impressed in the in-ring ability. But again, I felt like that was a terrible match to end the show.
I agree.
And that's kind of where I was on NXT.
Let's move on while we're on the overall topic of
wrestling.
Well, things that we don't agree with or see eye to eye with. So we kind of touched on Lesnar's return a little bit. I don't think we need to necessarily go down that hole again unless there's anything you wanted to add specifically.
The pop was insane.
Pop was good. The reaction
was good.
The reaction was good. Overall, in terms of how they booked the ending to SummerSlam, I didn't have any problem with the booking itself. I just, my question was this the plan all along? And we'll probably never know. Let's talk about the atrocity that was Becky Lynch's return. I told Cole during SummerSlam, and this was probably 15 minutes after it happened, so not a lot of time went by. And by this point, people were blowing up social media. I told Cole, you did something wrong when people are more so talking about the booking that went with the return, talking more about that than the return itself.
Right.
Now, information's come out since then that, Becky Lynch actually requested the heel turn, which that wasn't even really made that evident during the squash. I mean, it was just like teased a handshake and then hit her and then did whatever that suplex move or anyway. But that McMahon, approved the request and this and that, approved of it being a squash match and things like that. Pop was great for Becky. No issue with the return itself, the reaction that it got. even the timing of it, great. You should have had a full-on match, even if it was a face versus face match, even if Becky wins the title in a 15-minute match. These two, in my opinion, are probably good enough to where, and you and I talked about this, they probably had to do this on the spot or pretty close to it. My guess is Sasha was probably a quote-unquote game time decision and that she just couldn't go for whatever reason. I don't know if it was COVID, if she was just ill, if personal stuff was going on. I even alluded to this with Cole as we were watching. Could be stuff going on backstage again. We don't know. The quote is, at this point, she wasn't cleared to compete. Now, David asks an interesting question. Was Becky ready? Same thing. We don't know. That's kind of one of those things where coach calls you in, whether you're ready or not, you go in. And so it could have just been, we got to do the squash match because Becky isn't ready. Could be, but my issue with that, in believing that, is she has been training hard at the gym. I mean, she's been posting gym selfies and selfies of her like running and, teasing her return at prior pay-per-views and things like that. I don't think it wasn't necessarily a situation of her not being ready to go. And I get that there's differences between working out and taking bumps, whatever. My issue is, and I know I'm making this longer than it should have been, my rant is that Bianca deserved better. Way, 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 way better. Even if you turn Bianca heel or something, do something. If you know that Sasha is not ready to go, and again, we don't know the situation. We don't know all of the ins and outs. It could have been, we need to see if Sasha is ready, right up until match time. If she's ready to go, great. If not, Becky, we need you. We don't know. But it was insane that this was the call that they made, and they couldn't have even had they could have had a semi-entertaining match if it went 5 to 10 minutes. I mean, these two have been wrestling long enough that they probably could have just called spots in the ring. No, you're not going to have a 5-star match, probably not even a 4-star match, maybe not even a 3-star match, but it still would have been better than a squash match. Your thoughts?
I loved the swerve. I loved when they had Carmella come out. We thought Alex could see the look on my face. I was like, are we really getting this right now? Like, is this? I was like mad. I was mad that they had Carmella come out. I was like, out of all the things that we could have got right now, this is who you brought out. I would have much rather seen Toni Storm come out. Like, I was ready for something different. And then they had Becky's music hit, and I was like, oh, okay, cool, dope. What I would have done here, I don't think they needed to have a match at SummerSlam. In all reality, I think they probably could have just had them face off, tease some things, had Carmella get back in the ring and attack, Becky or attack Bianca or try to attack both of them. Maybe Zelina comes out and they do like a tag match instead. Or they just, fight, clears up, there's a face off, be done with it. I think this is something they could have had a short program. If you wanted to put the belt on Becky, they could have ran a short program up to Extreme Rules and had them fight for it at Extreme Rules and have Becky win it in an actual match at Extreme Rules. I think doing it at SummerSlam really devalued everybody. It really didn't help anybody in any way, shape, or form. One, everyone wants to scream for Becky on her return. It would be like anybody else's return. When somebody makes a return, they're not, especially someone who's as impactful to the wrestling industry as Becky Lynch has been, she's not going to come out and get heel heat. It's not going to happen. And so you would just think that you would understand that, being a WWE official who allowed this to happen, she's not going to get booed. It's not going to happen. Not initially, at least. She's going to get cheered. And so when she did the whole, what do you think about us having a match right here, right now? Everyone's cheering. She's got everybody on her side. Everyone's probably wanting her to win the match if they actually had a match. That's where it was. But then you have her do the whole handshake, bop her in the mouth, hit her with what I can only call a rock bottom, and in the match, and I was like, and you and I even talked about it. I was like, was that a heel move? Like, everyone cheered it. Everyone literally cheered it. It wasn't heel-like. It didn't come off heel-like. There wasn't enough heel-like emotion. And then, like, even afterwards, she kind of, like, celebrated with the fans. Like, that's not a heel thing to do.
Yeah.
So if we're talking about her going heel, I don't think it was executed. And so I think that's the problem. If I actually got the vibes that she was heel, it may have made more sense. Like, her doing a squash match over Bianca, but it wasn't executed in a way that made me feel like, oh, that was a heel moment right there.
Yeah.
It just felt like it was, they didn't have anything to do, so they did that. I would agree with your statement that it was unfair to Bianca. How do you take someone who wins the Royal Rumble, has this awesome NXT, stint, comes in, wins the Royal Rumble, you push her to the moon, you have her beat Sasha at Mania.
Which was a great match, by the way.
Match of the year. They won an Emmy, right? Was it an Emmy or
ESPY.
ESPY or what? It was an award, okay?
An Emmy award.
They literally made headlines with that match. She's had pretty good matches for the rivalries that they've built for her. She hasn't really had any good matches, or good rivalries, good opponents, I should say, in my opinion. Other than Bayley, I'll exclude Bayley from that conversation. But outside of Sasha and Bayley, you've given her Carmella. The idea of Zelina Vega, like, there's not been a whole lot. So I thought it was really bad of the fact that they squash matched Bianca after building her in such a way that she was. It kind of felt like when Goldberg squashed The Fiend. Like, it just felt like, wow, you just built this person up to literally get squashed by the big name that returned. Mm-hmm. And I don't think Becky's not ready to go. I don't think you put the belt on her if she wasn't ready to go.
Yeah, that was going to be my other point that I left out. Okay. 9:40. We got about 50 minutes before we need to wrap this up. So, CM Punk's return, Friday, Rampage. Your thoughts and everyone else's thoughts on the chat thread, but was this the greatest return ever in the history of pro wrestling?
No.
Okay.
No.
Top 3.
Maybe.
Oh, no. There's no. It's definitely in the top 3. Give me 3 others that could be. I'm talking. I'm not talking like you're on the shelf for a month or two. I'm talking like Cena's return at the Royal Rumble back in whatever 2010, maybe whatever year that was. That's definitely up there.
Triple H's return.
That's up there. I'm definitely going to say it's top 3. I'm not.
Edge's return at Rumble, I'm sorry, was
Edge's,
better.
Edge's return. Better than Punk's?
Yes. Bigger pop. Yes.
Bigger crowd, though. I mean.
But not necessarily. Sold out Chicago, United Center.
That was 15,000. It was Minute Maid Park. You had like triple that probably.
There was a bigger buzz. I'm sorry. Maybe top 5. We just named 3 that I would put over the Punk return.
Okay.
All 3 of those I'd put over the Punk return.
Okay.
And I'm wearing a CM Punk shirt.
Yeah.
It's not that I'm against Punk, so everyone's got to understand that. But
Jericho going to Raw in 98, 99. That was pretty big. In terms of scope and all things factored in, as far as the length of time they were out of wrestling for whatever reason, whether it was, injury or not, whether it was. See, I'm not going to group Jericho's in there because he didn't return. He just made a jump from WCW to WWF. So I got to leave that out. I'm not saying biggest. Well, I'll tell you what. Let's include that. I'll just say biggest pop of all time, but I'll just say best crowd reaction in terms of when you factor in the size of the crowd.
Just in the arena or overall?
Overall. Best reaction in terms of in how it came across on TV. Also, from what I've heard of people being in, at least in the United Center whenever Punk returned, everything on social media. Now, that's going to be weighted because you didn't really have social media in 1999 when Jericho went to WWF. I would have to seriously think on this, but I'm pretty confident, at least for me, I would put CM Punk's return in the top 3 in terms of overall crowd reaction, as well as factoring in what this is going to do for what I hope it's going to do for pro wrestling. Now, I'm not saying that this Wednesday night's Dynamite's going to get 2 million plus views. Not going there. I'm not jumping the gun. But when Nitro was on the uptick, that wasn't overnight either. So I know I'm not doing a very good job of articulating how I'm, I guess, weighting this in my head. Again, I would need time to actually sit down, think about this, jot down some notes, all of the returns and all of the jumps from WWF to WCW and vice versa. But I got to say, for me, CM Punk's return would be in my top 3 of all time in terms of just general reaction and the buzz that it's generating for pro wrestling. I mean, and people can say what they want, that ESPN isn't what it used to be. When ESPN is reporting on something that's pro wrestling related, it's big. Outside of, their...
Not as much anymore, because they literally have a whole category on their website.
No. That's what I was getting at. So I'm saying that, like, if you go to ESPN and you go to the WWE section, which is kind of generic because they put all pro wrestling under that category, if they're reporting it, like, I opened the ESPN app, and that was the CM Punk returning was actually on their headlines. Now, for what it's worth, so was Becky and Lesnar's return the following night. So I'm just saying it's all of these returns, and despite the fact that WWE isn't necessarily, they're doing questionable things in terms of booking, and that's not to say AEW is perfect either, because they're not, but just the overall buzz that is a part of pro wrestling right now, I would say this is the most exciting time it's been to be a wrestling fan in probably 15 years. I mean, you can even go as far to say as maybe since the Attitude Era. Might be pushing it. I don't know. But anyway, back to these returns. Best of the 3, Punk, Becky, and Lesnar. For me, it's Punk hands down. And that's notwithstanding the poor booking decision. And, Becky could have come back, had a 15-minute match with Bianca. My answer would still be Punk. Lesnar could have came back and actually had a match. My answer still would have been Punk. I mean, because you had 50,000 in the Allegiant Stadium. You had 15 in the United Center. And I've gone and watched it back on my phone as well as on a computer and on a TV. And just the pop was, you go from a loud CM Punk chant to just it erupted. And feelings aren't necessarily a great, maybe not the best way of kind of gauging what might be determined as, is this the greatest return of all time, or is this, or is that, whatever. So I can't say that, because it gave me goosebumps that, this was the greatest return of all time. Not saying that, but I don't get goosebumps very often watching pro wrestling on TV, or I was going to say in person, much less on TV. I could probably count on one hand the number of times I've gotten goosebumps watching wrestling on TV. This was one of them.
So,
sorry. Even Jim Cornette said that the return was perfect. If Jim Cornette is complimenting anything AEW, they did something right.
So I would say this. Out of the 3 of this weekend, I would agree Punk's was probably the best out of the 3. I can't put it in my top 3. I could probably put it in my top 5 as far as returns of all time, the pop and everything. But I want to keep in mind, I am wearing a CM Punk shirt. I'm happy he's back. But I'm going to play devil's advocate here for a second.
Do it.
Booker T got me thinking about this a little bit. I don't know if you saw his comments about it.
I did.
And I'm actually inclined to agree a little bit with him. CM Punk was this controversial, had a lot to say about wrestling. At the time it was WWE. You didn't really mention other companies, whatever, but he had a lot to say, and he, was always got us on the edge of our seat. The pipe bomb, I was waiting for a lot to be said. And when you go right back to trashing the company you've been gone from for 7 years, and that's pretty much your whole promo is almost an advanced version of the promo you cut 7 years ago, I was kind of like, man, I'm 2 for 2 today. This is where I was kind of underwhelmed with his return once he hit the ring and grabbed the mic. They gave him like 10 minutes to talk, and all I got out of it is that you still were frustrated with wrestling. You finally have a little bit of a love back for it, and you're in AEW. And I felt like that was the perfect opportunity to do your whole gimmick. I'm the best in the world. We didn't even get I'm a best in the world, and that's how Darby Allin teased it. He didn't say I'm the best in the world at what I do. He didn't really tease any I'm better than anybody here in this company. Even when he was talking to Darby, he was like, man, I'm excited to wrestle you, kid. It was this very cheesy almost face. And he's not that. That was not his gimmick. That's not his character. That's not what we pay for tickets for. It's not that. Now, we want to talk about the actual return. I've read some of your guys' comments.
Hold on a second. I'll tell you what his gimmick is, or his shtick or whatever. His shtick or gimmick is that of saying that, this company, it's really only WWE, small sample size. It's not like he's worked for a ton of companies that have, disgusted him, made him sick, whatever. That is his shtick. That's what made him famous. That's what put him on the map. That's why the last 7 years people have been wanting CM Punk, because of that pipe bomb. I'm not saying right or wrong. I'm just throwing that out there.
But you can't evolve.
You can. But I think that's what he's doing, because he's gotten to the point where he wants to go back to how he was in ROH. But now he's an aged veteran, and he wants to help put younger guys on the map.
I'm all for it. I'm glad he's back. I hope he makes wrestling great again. I hope he makes a buzz. The problem I have is that you had 10 minutes to wow us, and I felt like I got the same promo I got 7 years ago. And if John Cena came out and cut the same promo every single time he came back, I'd be like, you know what? I'm bored with it. He doesn't, though. He might have his gimmick's the same. He's still the hustle, loyalty, respect. Roman made the whole missionary comment about him, whatever. There's truth to that to an extent, but he's evolved that same gimmick every single time he comes back. This didn't feel like that. And giving out ice cream bars at the end, I was just kind of like, that's icing on the cake of what I felt like was an underwhelming promo.
I think that just meant to be funny.
Compared to the pop. When he came out and he kneeled down on the stage and had his moment with the fans, I thought that was dope. I'm cool with that part. The problem I have is when you got in the ring and you had a chance to really set some storylines, some ideas, some things on fire, and instead I got, WWE did me wrong. I hated wrestling. I'm glad to be back. AEW, woo woo, go get an ice cream bar. And that's
small sample size, though. He's going to be on Dynamite this Wednesday. They'll probably start the whole, the whole storyline related. And I totally get where you're coming from. I'm not trying to.
The talking to Darby Allin and Sting being right there too, and he didn't even really acknowledge him. We're talking to Darby Allin. Darby Allin cut a promo saying, I'm going to be in Chicago, and even if you think you're the best in the world, I want to fight you. I want to wrestle you. And we got in return, we got you're good, kid. I'm ready to fight you. It didn't feel like CM Punk. Now, what I really want to address, and some of you guys have alluded to this some in the comments, is, the pop and the goosebumps and, he sold out the arena with just rumors. let's backtrack for a second. There have been several wrestlers who have sold out arenas due to rumors.
This is a poorly kept rumor, by the way.
This was so strategic in so many ways. First off, we booked the show in his hometown. His hometown. All right. The next pay-per-view that he's wrestling at is in his hometown. We booked it in his hometown. All right. We purposely went out of our way to book it in his hometown to make it happen so he would have that pop. We booked it the way it all went down, the teasing, even his interview with the whole, I think I have a script reading that day and yada, yada, yada. Guys, this wasn't like it was some kept secret. It wasn't like he went and sold out Vegas's Allegiant Stadium. I'm not saying he couldn't. I'm just saying it's not like he did that. You just said it yourself. 15,000 versus 50,000. Yes, the pop's going to be bigger, but would they have actually sold out for him at 50,000? I don't know. We really won't know.
In Chicago, yes, probably. Anywhere else, I doubt it.
And that's my point, is that they went so strategic with this so they would feel and have that big moment. That's smart of them. I give AEW props for that. That was smart booking. But now we're turning into, CM Punk's the same kind of draw power as this, and the goosebumps, and he sold it out based off rumors. No, he sold it out based off smart booking, smart strategic booking. Even if they weren't having him come back, it was smart to do it in Chicago and kind of tease that. And if it was Daniel Bryan, it was Daniel Bryan. But it was just smart booking on their end. So I have an issue with the whole comments of, he sold this place out off rumors. No, he didn't. They sold it really well. And even Tony, the day of, said, I don't think fans are going to be disappointed. I think they're going to be happy. They're going to get exactly what they think they're getting pretty much.
Real quick, Ryan, I'm not saying Punk wouldn't sell out anywhere else. Let's say that this show was held in, I'm just trying to think of let's just say it was at the Amway Center in Orlando. They probably hold about the same, 10 or 15,000 maybe. You could probably sell it out. What I was getting at is
we're talking big stadium.
We're talking like an Allegiant Stadium. I don't think you'd sell it.
AT&T Stadium.
Oh, definitely not AT&T.
I'm saying if they were to book a show and even promoted that CM Punk was going to be there, I don't think that it would happen. But we're talking, the statement was he sold it out based off rumors. And the rumors were not rumors. It was literally strategy booking. It was literally marketing 101. Like this was not like we didn't know we were going to get it. This was thrown right in our face. It was going to happen. And we played along with it because we were just so excited. I'm glad he's back. I thought once I read Booker T's comments, because I kind of wanted to see what other wrestling personalities were saying about it. A lot of people praised it, and that's good because it wasn't like it was bad. But we're talking about Punk, one of the best mic guys that we've seen in probably the last decade. Probably one of the last big superstars we could name out of wrestling eras, out of that last wrestling era. Someone who really put themselves over. Batista kind of praised him and said, don't be shocked if you see CM Punk make the jump to Hollywood at some point and be an actor because he has it all over him.
He already has been in movies.
But that's what I'm saying. Don't be shocked if he's not wrestling very long because he goes and makes the jump to Hollywood. So there's a lot of that out there, and that's where I kind of wanted to camp on his return. Was it the best of the three this weekend? Absolutely. I do think that it would be a closer call if Becky Lynch wasn't booked in a terrible squash match and Brock Lesnar came out and didn't just stare down Roman. I think there could have been bigger pops had that happen. Other than that, I'm excited he's back. I think there's a lot that you could do with him, but we kind of talked about this. 14 dates isn't a lot of dates. He's booked, I think, for 14 dates or something like that, one of which was his return, one of which will be...
No. These are like... My understanding is these are matches.
So he's booked for 14. So dates and matches are two different things.
No, yeah, 12 to 14 matches is what he's...
Okay.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if between Dynamite and Rampage, one of the two, I wouldn't be surprised if we see Punk just about every week. Now, as far as this is just what I read. The 12 to 14 number was number of matches that he wants to do per year. That's not like it's a
set in stone.
Well, that's not like a contract thing where these are the dates that you're required to at least make an appearance. I think those are. I don't even think it has anything to do. Maybe it does. I don't know. In terms of his contract, I think that's just what he wants to do in a year as far as matches that he wants to work per year. So
with his poll, though, you had to assume it's going to stay close to that number.
Matthew Graves, welcome. First-time viewer. We appreciate it. Hope you stick around. Hope you like what you hear. Let's move on. We're kind of running.
I just want to address this comment. This is my point. Ryan Johnson. Brock was a big surprise because I haven't heard anything of his return. I told my cousin, though, I'm like, you think Brock comes back tonight? That's a rumor. That's when we're talking about things getting booked off rumor, that would be somebody buying a ticket at SummerSlam thinking, there's a possibility that Brock could return tonight, and I like Brock Lesnar, or I want to see that. I'm going to go because I think off a whim that Brock Lesnar is going to be there. That's called a rumor. Booking it, knowing that he's going to be there, and marketing it in such a way that makes that happen is not a rumor. That's smart booking.
That's like the equivalent would be like, let's say that WWE is having one of their big pay-per-views in Minneapolis, but they're also having a SmackDown in the same venue. But 2 weeks prior to that, you book another show that wasn't originally on your calendar up until maybe a month and a half ago.
Right. 2
months max. I don't think it was even that long. But you're purposefully not putting it too close to your pay-per-view or to your weekly episodic show, but far enough to where you want to build a program. But let's say, I don't know what, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I don't know what Minneapolis has as far as their big venues or whatever. Let's just say they booked a big show for wherever the Vikings play.
Okay.
And there's, Lesnar's been gone for a while, and that's obviously where the rumors are going to start. Like, why are you booking this show 2 weeks ahead of time when you're already going to be in Minneapolis or St. Paul, wherever, 2 weeks later? And that's the equivalent.
That's my point. Is AEW is notorious for booking and doing these marketing strategies. Big Show did it when Christian Cage came in. Yeah. He's like, you guys aren't going to want to miss this. There's going to be a big name coming. They're notorious for putting it right under our nose, and because we're just not used to that, because we've gotten fed what WWE feeds for so many years, we soak it all up like we're little kids again, and I wonder who it's going to be, and the rumors, this and that. Those aren't rumors. These are strategically booked in promos and marketing and all that stuff. That's where Tony Khan is smart. That's where they have a guy that is smart. He knows how to get people to watch.
Part of being a wrestling fan is being almost naive enough to suspend belief on just so-and-so may actually win this match even though it's very unlikely, or so-and-so may make a return although it's very unlikely. CM Punk's return was not unlikely at all given this scenario. Now, we won't spend a ton of time on this. Actually, I'll tell you what. Let's do homework for next week.
Okay.
I told our buddy Austin this. I haven't told you this. I had a scenario where I would have changed up how they booked his return. I need to make myself a note so I remember to do this. Remember, as far as sharing it next week. I want us to rebook CM Punk's return. I also want to rebook Becky Lynch's return.
Yeah, let's do it.
So for next week, Cole and I are going to do some fantasy booking, or actually what I'm going to do is I'm going to title the segment Rebooking, and Cole and I are going to give you scenarios. And by the way, Cole and I are not going to talk about this. We're not going to collaborate. These are going to be our own ideas as far as how we rebook CM Punk's return, if at all.
And we're going to base it off of what's current in wrestling now, though. We're going to have him involved in some other story or whatever.
No. I mean,
we're not going to recreate storylines, though.
What I'm saying is we could simply, like in CM Punk's case, if we changed how we book him or brought him back or whatever, doesn't have to be with Darby Allin.
Right, but I'm saying we're not going to make something up out of thin air. We would have to place them, both of them, into whatever was happening in the current moment.
Oh, yeah. Okay. You're not changing any other existing storylines. You're just bringing Punk and Becky back. And
in the current landscape of their promotion.
But like in Becky's case, it doesn't even have to be SummerSlam. You could simply say,
right,
I wouldn't have brought her back until X pay-per-view. Or you could say, I would have brought her back. Well, no, because that would be changing the current landscape. Okay, never mind. Has to be current or future.
Okay.
So, spoiler alert, in my case, I'm not going to change the event or venue. Like, I'm still going to have my predictions for both CM Punk coming back at Rampage, Becky Lynch coming back at SummerSlam, but I'm going to rebook it. I'm still going to rebook it differently. And Cole can rebook however he wants to also. But that being said, it's past 10 o'clock. We've literally got less than 30 minutes and still a lot to cover. We might have to skip past a segment or two. Wrestler of the week, who you got?
I feel like I know who yours is, and I like to be different. I don't think I have to mention. I think Dragunov would probably be the guy that I would normally pick, but because
spoiler alert, that's mine. Yeah,
but because I never get to say this, even though he lost, I'm saying John Cena. He had a great match. I was happy with the match. I thought he should have won, and I'm a co-host. I get to make the rules, so I decided John Cena is my wrestler of the week because I don't get to say that very often.
It's not like he put on a bad match either. I mean, that was match of the night, in my opinion.
I thought it was match of the night. It was a great match. I was happy with it, other than the fact that he didn't actually win.
It's just really odd that, like, some of these websites that I've read, like CBS Sports and Bleacher Report, and for good reason, I don't fault them for that, but they, those both in particular, I'm pretty sure actually gave Edge and Rollins match of the night.
I would say they were close.
They were close, but, I mean, I forgot which one was which, but, excuse me. I think they both gave Rollins and Edge like an A+ or an A. The other one gave Cena and Reigns an A-. One of them gave it a B.
Yeah, so the only thing I'll say about this, about their match and why I would say John Cena should be, if we're going to say someone from that match, it should be John Cena. John Cena carried the match, honestly. And John Cena hit like 3 attitude adjustments, put on the STFU, whatever you want to call it. Like, literally gave every move under the sun to Roman. He kicked out everything. Roman hits one spear, and it's, like, over. So,
I hated that. I would have changed that to where at least he would have given
John Cena kick out of everything. Yeah. And one spear, he's kicked out of, like, 9 of Edge's spears once. So, like,
I mean, like, in all fairness, Reigns doesn't even have the most devastating spear in wrestling currently.
Clearly, it's Christian Cage. I'm obviously kidding.
I'm just looking at your guys' wrestler of the week.
But you went with Dragunov, for obvious reasons.
I love how you can tell who watched our watch party this past week. Wrestler of the week, Fruit Snacks.
Stupid.
Mark Yanez says Cinnabons.
I will say this, and correct me if you think I'm wrong. Match of the entire weekend would probably be Walter and Dragunov, though. We had Emergence. We had Ring of Honor. Like, there was a lot that happened this weekend. I would still say I think Dragunov and Walter put on match of the weekend.
So to recap, I'm actually going to give it's very telling whenever my honorable mention is the one that lost that match. So my honorable mention is Walter, and my wrestler of the week goes to Dragunov. And Cole's wrestler of the week is none other than...
And his name is John Cena!
You know I'm going to look for any and every excuse to play that soundbite.
I'm okay with it. I wish it was longer. I'd rap the whole verse.
Let's see. Okay, let's quickly recap SummerSlam. And we won't touch on storyline implications a ton. Probably not at all because we've got 25 minutes. Pre-show, Big E defeated Corbin by pinfall. I will ask you this. Have you seen the videos that Corbin's been doing on social media?
I saw the thing about the Las Vegas stuff. I haven't watched it about like him gambling and, winning money and stuff like that. The last thing I saw was the backstage interview where he said, I only have like $35 to my name. And then they went over to Big E, and Big E was talking about winning his briefcase back. So I haven't gotten a chance to watch his other stuff.
So Big E got his briefcase back. First match of the main card, RK Bro defeats AJ and Omos to win the... Sorry, I thought I heard a weird sound. Defeated AJ and Omos in a match that went 7 minutes. Now, this is one thing I told Cole. And at this point, we were maybe 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We were maybe 7 matches deep on the card. I'm not skipping ahead really too much, but as far as the main card, factoring in the pre-show, 8 matches deep. After the 8th match, there was only 2 matches that went longer than 10 minutes. So anyway, they just they overdo it on the airing of the vignettes because they air them before each match and they also air them during the pre-show. It's like,
I would only do them in the pre-show and then just literally go to the match on the pay-per-view. As far as I was okay with that match being the opener match, as far as RK Bro versus AJ and Omos, I was happy that RK Bro got the titles. I thought it was a decent match. I was happy with it, how it was booked and whatnot. I don't really have a whole lot to say other than I'm glad it's off AJ, and I hope that they start to use AJ in the main title picture.
Next match, Alexa defeats Eva Marie with Cole's favorite female wrestler, Doudrop.
They're not even going to change her name. I'm so mad right now. They're not even going to change her name. And I was like looking forward to it. And they're not like this match should not even have been on the card. I could have argued pre-show, but shouldn't even been on the card. Like there was 9 other matches I could have probably gave you storyline wise. Shinsuke Nakamura was not on this card, but Eva Marie, Doudrop, and Alexa Bliss with a doll made the main card. And I think the only reason why it's now is because it looks like Alexa Bliss is the number 1 contender or next one up for Charlotte.
Yeah.
That's the only reason why I could see it was on the card. Other than that, I'm literally mind blown that this made the card. It was a terrible match. Worst match by far of probably the weekend. And I don't have anything else to say other than I thought it was a waste of a slot. We could have made matches longer and just not had another match and just got rid of their little 7-minute squash match that they had and gave, 3 or 4 minutes to 2 other matches.
I still have on my mind the comments that you and one of the viewers from the watch party made. I don't even remember what the viewer said. If you do, you can tell me, but
nope, I'm good. I'm good.
I remember what you said, but I'm not going to. If you want to know what Cole said, go back and watch last week's podcast. Good stuff.
You're going to get honesty here on the Going Broadway podcast.
Even if it's blunt and brutal. So Damian Priest in the next match defeats Sheamus and wins the United States Championship. This match went almost 14 minutes. This was the shocker for me, at least in terms of match result, because we both predicted Sheamus to retain, but maybe the program would extend or go past SummerSlam. I'm okay with it. It just feels like it's, given the storylines now, it seems like that this was almost it wasn't a one and done because they had matches already, but
it was quicker than what we thought would be considered normal.
Yeah.
But I thought the match was booked in such a way that it kept both of them strong. And I think what really is the case is it looks like they want to use Sheamus in the main title picture right now with Bobby, so they needed to get, again, kind of like what they did with him with when it was Keith Lee or who was the one that they put it on, actually? Riddle,
yeah.
That they needed to get the belt off of Bobby when they did that. So kind of same thing there. I thought it was a good match. It probably was the third best match on the card.
It was a good match.
It was good. It was just a good, probably one of the better wrestling matches on the card.
I'd probably put it as my 4th best match of the night. I mean, it's close, but David, friend of the show, has a question for you. If we send Cole a Doudrop t-shirt, will he wear it?
Sure.
Mountain Dewdrop.
I'll wear any shirt that's sent. I'm just saying, do they have a Dewdrop shirt? Like,
I don't know.
They might have a Piper Nevin one, but I'm saying, do they have a Dewdrop shirt? And if they do, why?
If they do, drop it.
Does it only come in certain sizes? I don't know.
Oh, come on.
I had to go there just for the fun of it.
Oh,
I was saying this to Alex about her specifically. They should dress her differently. They find a way to make Nia look presentable and nice, being a bigger girl. I have nothing against. I don't want it to come across that I'm heartless. I have nothing against that. I think Nia looks presentable. It looks good. They have her in this like silver, like translucent, whatever you want to call it, like sparkly outfit, and it just makes her look terrible. Like, dress her better.
yeah. It's not appealing. Who?
Talk about a segue. Sorry. This why, like, in the morning time, guys, my filter is just a little bit less. I haven't finished the coffee yet.
Oh, who was I talking about the other day? Maybe it was during SummerSlam that they haven't cashed in on having merch for somebody. Who was it?
I don't.
Because I'm having a brain lapse, and I remember saying, I think I was talking to you about it. They're missing the boat on somebody, like not having merch for somebody on the shop. That's gonna bug me now. I can't think of who it was.
I don't know.
Anyway, we'll move on. It might hit me later. Let's see. Okay, the Usos defeated the Mysterios in a match that went about 11 minutes. It was what it was, but I am shocked we didn't get a heel turn. That's just me.
I don't know if the heel turn's coming, y'all. I'm just gonna be real. If something happens, it's not gonna be more of a heel turn more than just a disruptance, if that makes sense. I don't see. I actually would rather see Ray go heel than I do Dominic. And I kind of explained this to Alex. I could see Ray kind of being that like overprotective, over-critiquing, like coach of a father, that it kind of gets on Dominic's nerves, and he kind of is like, you know what, I just don't need you. And they kind of just go their own ways. They might have a match, but I don't see there being like this Dominic beats the crap out of his dad and goes heel. Honestly, if they were smart, they just take Dominic back down to NXT and rework him, because it's not working, y'all.
So, in the next match of the night was originally supposed to be Sasha Banks against Bianca Belair, but then it was Carmella against Bianca Belair. But then Carmella gets beat down by the return of Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch defeats Bianca Belair in 26 seconds from bell to bell.
Oh, Baron Corbin's the one you said that they should have had merch for.
He's got merch.
Not for this stuff that he's been doing.
I don't think it was him, though, because whenever I was on the shop website, I typed in somebody's name and nothing popped up.
Oh,
well, it wasn't Corbin. Anyway, bell to bell, 26 seconds. Becky wins the SmackDown Women's title. We've already talked about that. We don't need to touch on it anymore. Next match.
Worst match of the night.
Yeah. Next match, Drew against Jinder. A match that went 4 minutes and 40 seconds. Veer and Shanky banned from ringside. No surprise there.
This is a waste of a match.
It blows my mind the duration of these matches, and yet you couldn't find a way to squeeze KO, Shinsuke, Cesaro, any of these guys you could have. I don't know.
But I want to point out, you gave the Mysterios and Usos, who we've already seen, 11 minutes. You gave the match the 14 minutes to the match beforehand. Like, why did this match not get? It got 4 minutes. Jinder and Drew, one of your top talents, Drew, got a 4-minute match in a program you've been running on Raw for over a month.
Yeah.
I just thought that was ridiculous.
The next match, Charlotte defeats Nikki, almost a superhero, and Rhea to win the Raw Women's title for the 87th time. This match went a little over 13 minutes. It wasn't too big of a shock because during our predictions last week, I said it's pretty much going to be between either Nikki retaining or Charlotte winning it. I got this one wrong because I thought Nikki would retain just to help with the merch push for Nikki and seems like it's really marketed to kids and all that, yada, 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 but they pulled the trigger on Charlotte, and here we are.
I was actually happy with the result now that Becky's back, because, again, I think we're really building towards Survivor Series at this point, and it kind of looks like we're going to get Becky versus Charlotte at Survivor Series, which will be a big match draw, whether you like it or not. Not to mention, we kind of mentioned, it kind of seems like they're building Charlotte to be like her dad and be like a 16-time women's world champion. We talked about it. They're not even counting NXT title reigns now for her, and she's still a 12-time women's champion. So
I'm just surprised if they do go that route, though, because with Rick not being with the company anymore, I'm shocked that they would still consider someone with the name Flair to hold that record. But
you're not going to get away from Ric Flair, though. I mean, like, he's too integrated into your stories throughout the years. I think they just are going to run with it more because they're going to get publicity off the Flair name still versus not using it. So,
in my opinion, I thought that was the third best match of the night. I was pretty impressed with it. Especially, I mean, it's really hard to make triple threat matches entertaining because it's just a lot of times it can be a cluster, but I thought this was good. I actually thought that this was, I know you said you thought your third best match of the night was Priest and Sheamus. This edged it out slightly for me.
I could probably go back and forth on this one. The only thing I think for this one is that I thought Sheamus and Damian kind of complemented each other a little bit better. This one, Nikki doesn't really fit the Charlotte and Rhea build, so you have to do a little bit different stuff with her. And we've seen Charlotte and Rhea so many times already, and
yada
yada yada. So, but it was good. I will give it's deserved.
The next match, Edge against Rollins. Edge wins in a match that went about 21 minutes, a little more than 21 minutes. Edge winning by submission, which I thought was a really cool ending. I actually got this wrong. I thought Rollins would get the win since he's taken a lot of L's lately, but so did Edge prior to this match. So it was kind of, which one do you feel like would
benefit more from the win, and which one could get over a loss easier?
Yeah. And in hindsight, I probably should have picked Edge, just as far as like the whole getting over a loss thing. Easier is probably actually easier for Rollins than it is Edge.
Sure.
I could have, my thought process was, my logic was Rollins could have benefited better from the win, but also isn't hurt as bad as Edge might have been from the loss. So if I would have looked at it from that standpoint, I probably would have said Edge, but I didn't. It was what it was. But fantastic match. It just goes to show that, I mean, I'm not going to jump the gun, but in a lot of guys' cases, age is just but a number. However, that is not the case with the gentleman in our next match, in what I feel like was the worst match of the night. And
is this a match? Like, are we going to call this even a match? Because
it went 7 minutes and 10 minutes. Lashley defeating Goldberg by referee stoppage. The thing that irks me most is not actually the match itself, although it was bad. I mean, I thought it was bad.
It had potential if they were to keep going.
No, I don't think so, because Goldberg was already gassed at this point.
Yeah, but I wanted to see Bobby Lashley dominate him. I thought it was going to help Lashley.
I thought it could have worked. I agree. I actually thought the Bleacher Report and CBS Sports, the two that I read this morning, were way too generous with their rating on this match as far as an individual rating. I think they both gave it like a C or C+ or something like that. I mean, the best I would give this is a D. And that's not even on Lashley. That's just, I'm sorry, I was a Goldberg fan in the WCW days. He's going to, I'm not even going to say it. He could very seriously injure somebody. I mean, there was that one spot where,
yes,
you know what I'm talking about.
That was scary.
Could have landed on the back of his neck. He's dangerous. And he's never been safe in the ring per se, ever. But now that he's older, it's just dangerous. It's not at all safe. It's not wise. Like, if I were WWE, after that Undertaker match, after that debacle, I just would have told Goldberg, if I'm McMahon, I just would have written him out a check for what I owed him for the rest of his contract and just said, here you go, but you're done.
So at this point, and this is a good example of what, and I'm going to mention one of the comments I see here. This is an example of what happens when you're out of practice, when you're not doing this on a weekly basis. The Kane hit with MVP hitting him in the back of the knee, it was like a 5-second delay of him reacting to it.
It wasn't 5 seconds, but it was at least 2 or 3.
I'm obviously, being facetious in that, but
it felt like 5 seconds, though.
But that's my point is that, and it's partly on MVP. MVP didn't hit him that hard either. He kind of barely swung the cane, but
hey, Goldberg,
like poked him with it more than he did hit it. But like Goldberg is that superstar that if you really want to have like a legend impact or whatever, you want him to come out and kind of get the crowds riled up, whatever. Fine, do that on like the Madison Square Garden show. Have him come out, get the fans riled up, whatever. Maybe he hits a spear on somebody, call it a day. We don't need to build storylines around him anymore. We don't need to, every time he comes back, he doesn't have to be inserted into a title picture. And actually, you and I were talking about this. He's actually done for the year.
He's got one more match.
He only is signed for 2 a year. He wrestled at the beginning of this year with Drew, and he wrestled this one. He is not on contract for the rest of this year.
I thought he had 2 left going into this match.
Nope, he's signed. I just watched the video today. He is only signed to 2 matches a year, which is an interesting way to end that match. I felt like, so unless he struck another deal that I'm unaware of.
And I don't know why you would do that if you're WWE, but nonetheless.
But we knew Crown Jewel was coming up, and we know that he's willing to go to to do a Saudi show. So when you had his son jump the barrier and Bobby Lashley put the Hurt Lock on, but then realized it was his son, and they did the whole, there was no way to know that was Goldberg's son. Like, it kind of built it like they were going to do more here, and maybe it'd be like a month before Goldberg's, healed up, and then we'll get a rematch at Crown Jewel and actually have a legitimate match. But I'm pretty sure, based off what I read, what I've seen, he's done for the year.
Okay, you're right. So he is under a deal that oh my gosh, no, he's not done. He's done for 2021, though.
Right. Unless he strikes some other deal.
Well, no, he has a deal that runs through 2023.
But I'm saying unless he strikes another deal for another match this year.
Yeah.
And gets something for Crown Jewel, locked down.
Yeah. Contract with WWE for the next 2 years through 2023. Two matches per year.
That doesn't guarantee that they'll even utilize that, but nonetheless.
Oh. No. I'm sorry. So it runs until the end of 2022. So
next year.
Yeah, I mean, the quote's kind of weird. It makes it sound like it runs into 2023, but it runs until like 11:59 p.m. December 31st, 2022.
We'll probably get him at both Saudi shows in 2022.
Oh gosh, I thought we were done. All right, it is what it is. We got to move forward because, well, we're supposed to have only 5 minutes. Yeah. We got to wrap this up in 10 minutes tops. We're definitely going to have to skip some segments today. We might just forego the TakeOver recap. I mean, we had a watch party. If you joined us, great. If not, then
overall we gave a good recap of it that night.
That's true. We did do our ratings and everything, so
we can just say them again. I think I gave it an A- on the overall pay-per-view, and I think you were sitting at a B.
I gave it a B just because I weigh it very heavily on prior takeovers and. Anyway,
so go back and watch it. It was still a good card nonetheless.
And then the final match, which we've already touched on, Roman Reigns defeats John Cena, 23 minutes, Lesnar returned, and so on and so forth. Let's see. Normally we would do our promotions, and I'd give you some Lord Alfred. Well, I'll give you some Lord Alfred Hayes just so you can hear it.
Promotional consideration paid for by the following.
Our social media platforms are scrolling across the bottom of your screen right now. Please like our Facebook page, follow us on Twitter and Instagram, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you do all 4, you would get 4 entries into our 3 free belt giveaway that we're still going to do. Once we get to 5,000 Facebook likes, at last check, we only need like 45 more, so we're very close, guys. Going to throw up our T-shirts and our hoodies real quick. These are our WCW Tribute T-shirts and hoodies. They do come in the old school purple and gold colors as well as our Going Broadway podcast colors. They're $25 ship plus applicable taxes for a T-shirt, $50 ship plus applicable taxes for a hoodie. So contact us for now. Contact us for the time being if you would like one of those. We do hope to get our website and our store up and running so you could just go directly to that to place your orders. That way you don't have to contact us every time which we have no problem talking to you guys, but it's just more efficient and easier for you guys to order a shirt as opposed to contacting us and all that stuff. So let's see. TakeOver recap. We are going past subject to change. I think we'll each just give one. So any championships you foresee changing hands in the next, I'll just say, couple weeks.
The AEW Tag Team Champions.
You took mine.
I don't see a lot of them just changed. We're looking at WWE. We had a lot of titles just change. Impact, we just had that title just change. I think my prediction is either it's going to be Jurassic Express or Lucha Bros that wins that tag team qualifier thing that they're doing.
I feel like they should have actually not even if it's going to be Lucha Brothers. I'm sorry, if it's going to backtrack. If it's going to be Jurassic Express that takes the belts off of them, I feel like they shouldn't have even had that match on
I would disagree.
Dynamite.
I would say the opposite. I think it was a cool story building moment.
Unless they have some kind of a alternate, and maybe unless it's like a Texas Tornado match or no DQ or so and so's banned from ringside. It's like some kind of stipulation so it's not exactly the same.
I think they're going to get more help this time. You're going to have Christian out there to help them, obviously. Marco Stunt will be out there. But the wild card for me is going to be Frankie Kazarian. I think Frankie Kazarian might actually be the next number one contender even for Kenny Omega. I think that's a route that they're going to probably end up going. So I'm intrigued, but I think that's the one that sticks out to me is that it's either Lucha Bros or Jurassic Express. I don't really care. I think they both are deserving of tag title runs at this point, but whoever wins that tag team qualifier I think is going to take the belts off the Bucks.
Okay. So.
Oh, you have another one?
Well,
you're going to give me another one?
I'm going to give you another one. I'm trying to, because I had 3 and I can't think of the other 2. That was the one I was gonna mention. Yes, the 24/7. Yeah, that doesn't count. That is subject to change now. For all we know, we could see a video pop up on Twitter in 30 minutes, and I don't even Reginald's champion or Reggie. I'm sorry, I think he goes by Reggie now.
Bruce, I touched on the Miz and Morrison split earlier in the show, so you'll have to go back and check that out a little bit.
Gosh, I can't think of what the other one was. Well, I originally would have said there's the potential that Moxley could take the IWGP US belt back off Tanahashi, but it looks like we're not actually getting that for All Out now. So, oh gosh. Okay, let's just look at this. Let's just look at this by company real quick. NWA, probably not going to happen. Impact, I don't really.
I thought maybe the Impact Tag Champions as well with the Good Brothers, but they just wanted Emergence.
They just won them.
Well, they've had them for a minute, but I'm saying they just retained again at Emergence against pretty much all of the tag teams in Impact that are in the running. So
I'm going to throw you. This isn't the one I was trying to think of, or it's not one I was trying to think of, but I'm going to throw a curveball at you guys. I think Matt Cardona loses the GCW championship. Maybe not within the next 2 weeks, just because I don't know what their schedule is like. I would give it. I'd give it a month.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, I don't know how many shows they have, and I don't know who he's wrestling or not wrestling, but I'm going to throw that one at you guys. I really want to think of the other 2, or at least one of the other 2.
David Tilley, I don't think Punk will be in a title picture anytime soon. I think he'll do a couple dream matches here and there before they elevate him to that.
AEW, no. WWE, probably not. I mean, like they just had a ton of title changes. I'm gonna say the NXT North American title. I see Swerve Scott losing it to Escobar.
Okay.
Or if they somehow or another throw LA Knight into that picture, or I don't know. Just seems like Hit Row's losing their momentum, and that's what I'm gonna go with. So, we're gonna wrap things up. AW previews. I actually had this pulled up and then I exited out of it. Why? I don't know. But Dynamite for tonight.
Obviously, we have CM Punk.
CM Punk is
in the Dynamite arena to talk again.
The Dynamite arena.
Whatever you want to call it.
The Impact Zone.
It's the Impact Zone.
No, they're in Milwaukee at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee Panther Arena this evening. CM Punk makes his first Dynamite appearance. We have Malachi Black against Brock Anderson.
Knockout.
Arn Anderson's son, correct. We have the Varsity Blondes against the Lucha Bros as part of that tag team qualifier eliminator tournament theme-a-bob, whatever you want to call it. I'm going Lucha Bros and the Jurassic Express in the finals so that'll be on Rampage this Friday. I actually want Lucha Bros to win. Just for selfishly because Lucha Bros and the Bucks always put on a good match.
I want whoever wins out of those two, they need to be tag champions. If they don't, I'm gonna riot.
I agree. I'm actually going to be very upset too if for whatever reason Varsity Blondes win tonight. No disrespect to Brian Pillman Jr. because I like him. Not a Griff Garrison guy, but who is he anyway?
I said that earlier, didn't I?
Yeah. Jamie Hayter against Red Velvet. Orange Cassidy against Matt Hardy. We have 2 trios matches with Moxley, Eddie Kingston, and Darby against the Wingmen, Cesar Bonini, Ryan Nemeth, and JD Drake. We also have another trios match, QT Marshall, Nick Camaroto, and Aaron Solo. That's a lot of OOs.
Uh-oh.
against the night against Austin, Billy, and Colton. The Gun Club. And we have Jericho's return segment after his how do they phrase it?
Labors of Jericho loss, basically.
No, well, his taking some time to think and reflect, or I forget how it was worded the exact same way on Dynamite and Rampage and across social media as well, but taking his time to think and reflect, and anyway, whatever. And then for Rampage this upcoming Friday, now they're going to actually be taping this tonight as well. So I don't know how much has been announced, if anything, yet. But we know that we're going to get that the finals for the Tag Team Eliminator Tournament. I can't see if anything has even been announced at this time. Yeah, that's it so far. So far, we know we're going to get the finals of the Tag Team Eliminator Tournament, and the rest is to be announced. So, that's going to be about it for us, guys. Thanks for joining us. Sorry that it felt like kind of a rushed show, but like I've said before, and I mentioned it earlier, the company I work for, I actually do, the accounting and payroll and tax stuff for the most part. So this podcast is not my main gig. So if something else, duty call, so to speak, then I need to tend to that. But hopefully next week we'll have a normal, non-rushed show. But it also was rushed today just because we had so much to talk about in such a little amount of time. So as we go, it's about that time. Cole, any final thoughts?
Guys, as always, thank you for watching the greatest wrestling podcast ever. We sincerely appreciate it. Make sure you tell everybody to like our Facebook page, all of that stuff. We want to give those belts away. So we have a 3-belt giveaway once we hit that 5,000 mark on Facebook. So
I need to, while you're talking, I'm going to check and see how many we got left to go.
Make sure that you're inviting people so we can do that. Don't forget, November 4th, I believe. I always forget the date. November 4th, we have...
I knew I forgot to do something during the whole promotions thing.
November 4th, we have Tully Blanchard with us. Check out this promo real quick. Richard will be with us in studio. It's going to be a great time. We've kind of talked about it a little bit during our watch party. We also have some other names that just might show up here soon. We can't share too much, but eventually you'll see some more guests on the show. So you want to tell your friends about this. Also, make sure that you go get that Going Broadway podcast merch. These are made to order. They take about 6 weeks to get to you. So hoodie season's right around the corner. Go and get yourself those hoodies, those shirts. Our store will be made available here soon. And you'll be able to go back and get all of the different designs that we've had, minus 1 or 2 designs that were specialty for the time that we did them. So make sure you go get all that merch. Buy it for your friends. There'll be great Christmas gifts for those who watch the show. So make sure that you do that as well. Other than that, we thank you guys for watching, and I leave you with your favorite thing in the entire world.
Thank you so much, guys, for joining us. We'll see you next week.
This podcast was a presentation of LightUpMedia.fm.